All right, to finish up here, we got a couple more problems. Now what we have, though, is we have a quantity squared. We have parentheses with these. Same concept. So what we want to do, ultimately, the goal is to unlock this x to get x all by itself. Right now, it's locked in. It's locked in the parentheses. We think we could maybe move that 2 over there, but we can't. Okay, the parentheses keep it trapped in. So what we need to do is first we need to eliminate this squared. And we learned in the last video to cancel out a squared, we need to square root both sides. Okay, and when we do that, the squared and the square root, they eliminate, right? They cancel each other. So all we have left on the left is x plus 2. And now also think back to the last video. When we take the square root of a positive number, 2 answers. Okay, super, super important. The square root of 36 isn't just 6. It's positive and negative 6. We get 2 answers. Now, so we think about going ahead and solving this. When we have 2 answers here, we're going to actually rewrite this into 2 different equations. Okay, we're going to rewrite it as one time with the positive 6, so x plus 2 equals positive 6, and one time with it being a negative 6, so x plus 2 equals negative 6. Now we're going to go ahead and solve for x. 2 little one-step equations. Okay, if we subtract 2 on both sides, x equals 4. If we subtract 2 on both sides, x equals negative 8. Okay, if we were to plug both of these numbers in, they would both work. Okay, we have 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 squared is 36. Negative 8 plus 2 is negative 6. Negative 6 squared is also 36. Both answers are going to work there. Okay, we just can't forget when we square root this positive number to write our plus and minus, so that way we get 2 answers. Okay, same idea with the second one over here. Again, we want to get the x out of there, so we need to square root both sides to undo this squared. Those cancel each other out. X minus 3 is equal to square root of 81. 2 answers, positive number. Positive and negative 9. So then again, we're going to split it just like we did on the last one because we need one equation with a positive 9, one with a negative 9. So we have x minus 3 equals positive 9, and x minus 3 equals negative 9. And simple one-step equations, add 3 to both sides, we get x equals 12. That's one of our possible solutions. The other one, if we add 3, we get x equals negative 6. Both of those answers, if we were to plug them in for x, both of those answers would work. Okay, let's do a couple more here. Gotta make it a little tougher. Let's see. Let's say we have a problem like x minus 3 squared equals 7. Okay, looks just like the other ones. When we square root both sides, though, something weird's going to happen here. The other ones, we've always known the square root of this number on the right. So if we look at the left here, those canceled, x minus 3, but we don't know what the square root of 7 is, right? It's a decimal, so we're just going to leave it as the square root of 7, but remember, it's the square root of a positive number, so what we need is we need the plus and the minus out front, just like we did on the last example, and we're still going to actually split this one, okay? It seems weird, but what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite this as 2 different equations because we need one with the positive 7, one with the negative square root of 7. So we have x minus 3 equals positive square root of 7, and x minus 3 equals negative square root of 7. And what we're going to do, if we add 3 here, okay, we can't really do square root of 7 plus 3. We can't make that the square root of 10, right? Because that's in the radical, this isn't. So how we're going to write this is we're just going to write it as 3 plus the square root of 7. Okay, we can leave it like that. Same over here. If we add 3, we can't combine them. So how we're going to write this one is we're going to write it as 3 minus the square root of 7. Okay, kind of weird, but we can't combine these because this is under the radical and that's not. Okay, another way to write this is sometimes you'll see it as x is equal to 3 plus and minus the square root of 7. Okay, it just means that we have 3 plus square root of 7, 3 minus square root of 7, and that's what we wrote out just the long way. Okay? Let's see, let's do a couple more here. Let's say we have x plus 2 squared minus 7. Make sure you're writing these down with me. Equals 9. Okay, add a little step to this. Now we have a number outside of our parentheses. Remember, the ultimate goal is to get x by itself. We want to get this isolated. Whatever's squared, the quantity squared, we want to isolate that. So first we're going to move the 7. Add it over here. We have x plus 2 squared equals 16. Now we need to square root both sides. So if we do that, square root, square root. The reason we want to square root them is we want to unlock this 2. It's trapped in there. So we have x plus 2 is equal to, be careful, square root of 16 is not just 4, positive and negative 4, which we know when we have that plus and minus, we need to split it. Solve it twice. X plus 2 equals positive 4. X plus 2 equals negative 4. Okay, it's something to take note of. Sometimes we see that people want to say plus 2 minus 2. Well, it's not plus and minus 2 here. It's just plus. So make sure this is always the same. The only one that changes, the sign that changes, is the one on the right side of the equal sign. So now quick solve. Subtract 2, we get x equals 2. Subtract 2, we get x equals negative 6. Both of those answers, if we were to plug them in, they would both work. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 squared is 16. 16 minus 7 is 9. And this one, negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. Minus 7 is 9. They both work. Okay, one more. All right, last one here. Okay, go ahead and if you have room, write this one down with me. X plus 7 squared plus 10 equals, let's say this equals 5. All right, same idea. Let's get x by itself. So let's subtract 10 first. Okay, we can't square root until that's isolated. Okay, when we subtract 10, we have x plus 7 squared left still. Okay, that's good. 5, oops, I put plus, minus 10 is negative 5. Now we go to square root it, right? Because we're almost done. We just want to unlock that 7 so we can move it. When we do that, the squared and the square root cancel. So x plus 7, and square root of a negative number. Okay, we talked about that. Can we square root a negative? We can't. Okay, so we can stop working right there. The whole answer, we don't have to split it. We don't have to do any other work. When we see this, that's no good. Okay, the whole answer, no solution. Anytime you have the square root of a negative number like that, doesn't work. No solution. Thanks for watching.